Hello and welcome to AHS Countdown. I'm your host, Max Nelson, and I'm joined by co-hosts Cal Floyd and Fabiola Sanchez. As you can see, Taylor's not here. He was not able to make it today. And today we got a crucial matchup between the Smith Station Panthers and your Auburn Tigers. The last time these two teams played was last year in a game that Auburn won handily, 52-21, a performance that they will need to replicate tonight if they want to have a shot at the number one spot in Region 2 going into the playoffs. Now, let's start off with the Panthers. They are currently sitting at 1-8 and are currently last in the region in Region 2 with a record of 1-6 in the region. Their only win this season was at home against Prattville, who Auburn just played and beat, but they beat them by a score of 30-21. It was a huge upset. But since that win early in the season, they have gone on a 6-game losing streak with their last 3 losses coming at the hands of Opelika, Jeff Davis, and Lee Montgomery, all of which are already eliminated from the playoff race. But an upset win tonight would be a huge morale booster going into next season and also would snap that 6-game losing streak. All of that being said, what are some things that the Smith Station team will need to do to pull off the huge upset tonight?
Now, I'm not the first, and I probably won't be the last to say that Smith Station is not having a fantastic season so far. You know, we're looking at very few sacks and interceptions, like defensive-wise, along with them having very few close-scoring games this season. So I believe that against Auburn, Smith Station is going to have quite the task ahead of them.
I agree. With Smith Station, even like towards the beginning, we could see that they were scoring, but their defense just wasn't really showing up. So I don't think that their offense isn't gonna. If their defense isn't showing up, I don't think it's gonna really matter. I'm hoping it does, but
Yeah, you look at some of, like I said, in Smith Station's last 3 matchups against Opelika, Jeff Davis, Lee Montgomery. Lee Montgomery, they lost by 6, but Opelika, they lost by like 18. Like, it wasn't close. And as you can see, Opelika has not been playing great football. That's actually Opelika's only win ever since beating Central. And so, yeah, I don't think Smith Station's coming in off of like it'd be different if they were coming in on like a hot streak, maybe something to be worried about with the Panthers. But they're not. They haven't looked great all season. And so it'll be very, like Cal said, a very tall task for them to beat the Tigers tonight. And looking to keep their hopes for the Region 2 title alive is your Auburn Tigers, who with a win tonight and a win by Prattville over Central would clinch the number 1 spot in the region come playoff time. In what is a crucial matchup for determining playoff position, how do the Auburn Tigers get it done on senior night to keep their shot at number 1 in the region alive?
All right. So, aside from the Central game, Auburn has not allowed more than the other team to have more than 25 points in a game at all this season. And being up against the Panthers of all teams, a team that hasn't gone over 16 points in their last 3 games, if the Auburn defense can just stay at the level that they've been in this game, I think it'll be a breeze.
Yeah, and with Auburn, I think something they've done is that just using the passing skills to Clyde Pittman and Davis Harson, and as well as the speed like Ian Nation and others, it's just something that we've been using to beat opponents.
Yeah, and you look at Auburn at home this season as they're playing home tonight for their senior night. They're currently 4-0 at home this season, and I don't think they've lost at home since last year's loss against Central midway through the season. And Auburn's rowdy crowd, which is currently being voted on for number 1 student section in the state, so please be sure to vote on that. But it's sure to be a factor, especially on senior night. The crowd's going to be rowdy. It's going to be jumping. And for the last home game of the regular season, I think Auburn home advantage is definitely going to be an advantage. And while Smith Station has already been eliminated from the playoffs, Auburn has clinched the playoffs and still has a lot to play for tonight. Like I said before, Auburn can clinch the Region 2 title with a win tonight against the Panthers and a win by Prattville on the road against Central. Anything besides that would mean Auburn would finish 2nd in the region and would host the first round of the playoffs. That being said, if the schedule were to end today, Auburn would be hosting Fairhope from Region 1 and would play the winner of Foley and Dothan in round 2. So, we have talked about some things Auburn has done well this season. Now, what are some things that the Tigers need to improve on in order to close out the season with a good win on senior night over the Panthers?
All right. So with last week's game against Prattville, Auburn was never really able to just entirely close out the game, and throughout Prattville was just able to hang on just barely within reach, so that we had to stay active the whole time. With Smith Station, I believe that if they play the cards right, they might even be able to essentially close out the game by the beginning of the second half.
For Auburn's offense, I think just them getting a one-dimensional and just passing the ball a little too much is something that's been just out there. And just I think they just need to keep running the ball to keep the defense guessing.
Yeah, and you look at Auburn in their last 3 games, obviously a tough stretch against Central, Opelika, and Prattville, 2 of those being on the road. They've allowed 29 points in each of their last 3 games, which are all the most points that Auburn has allowed all season by far. And that's partially because of their lax defense at times. Like Cal said, I think Auburn needs to be able to stay composed and throughout the entire game, and that'll be crucial tonight. And now we move into our keys to the game. Now, Auburn has different X factors that can help them take over a game. What do y'all think those X factors are or will be in this game?
I think this season what's going to come into play this game is going to be Auburn's ability to have, they're really good at like situational football on defense, being able to blitz and play good coverage at the right times.
For offense, I want to say Auburn's running game is just really good. It's important for their offense and just keeps the defense just guessing all the time, and it opens up passing games.
Yeah, and like Cal said earlier, he said Auburn's wasn't able to close out the game against Prattville. But other than that, early on in the season, they did show that they were able to close out games during the stretch, especially in their first matchup against Hoover, who's most likely after their win against Thompson, I can count on it that they're going to be number 1 in the state. So I think if this game is somehow close towards the end, I think Auburn will be able to close it out. And now we move into our senior night player profiles, where we each highlight 1 senior on offense, defense, and 1 on special teams that has been crucial throughout their time here at Auburn High. Who do y'all have as y'all's senior night player profiles for tonight's matchup against Smith Station?
All right. For me, I got number 7, Andre Emilis. He plays defensive back. And when he's covering someone, you'll rarely ever see that person catch the ball. And if you do just happen to see it slip through, they'll be on the ground in a minute.
So I got number 10, Marcellus Joseph. He's a senior wide receiver. He is tall and quick receiver who has been able to beat teams over the top, as well as 50-50 balls all throughout his time in Auburn.
Yeah, and I've got number 35, Will Best, the senior kicker for Auburn. As you might remember, Taylor, who's currently not here today, he had him as his player profile in our first AHS countdown of the season against Ramsey. He's also the only senior, though, on Auburn's young special teams unit. And I think that he will be crucial in this game. He's been a reliable all throughout his time at Auburn High. And I think him, along with Towns, they make a great tandem of kickers. And they'll be crucial not only in this game, but if games get close down the stretch in the playoffs. And now we're going to go ahead and send you to a quick commercial break. But don't go away, because next up is the Friday night lineup. Don't go away.
Okay, we're here with...
This is Clark Cleveland, linebacker number 25.
Andre, number 7, cornerback.
Mark Tolan, I play defensive end, number 21.
Braden Joyner, number 75, left tackle.
Octavian Brown, number 19, linebacker.
Clyde Pittman, number 13, quarterback.
Logan Blomeyer, number 3, wide receiver.
Marcellus Joseph, I'm number 10, and I'll play wide receiver.
My name is D.B. Williams. I play running back for Auburn High.
I'm Jordan Reese. I'm number 99, and I play defensive tackle for Auburn.
Okay, what was your favorite memory from your time on the Auburn football team?
My sophomore year when we went to state, it was a fun time.
Probably sophomore year is like when we went to state. That was crazy.
The first time I scored a touchdown against Lee.
I just enjoy, working out in the mornings with my teammates and cutting up in the weight room and whatnot.
Definitely going to the state championship sophomore year.
I would say it was 10th grade when we first went to state.
Just spending time with my brothers on the team, and playing games with them, going to war with them.
Probably going to state my sophomore year.
My favorite memory is my first interception for the Auburn High.
My favorite memory was definitely going to state my sophomore year.
What was your funniest moment here at your time in Auburn?
Practicing on the field after last year's senior prank.
Funniest moment was when Coach Bird said J-Watt hit like a drumstick.
Just hanging out with my friends, either on the field or on the sideline when I was younger.
Anytime with Coach Wayne.
I think our funniest moment was, Nutter Butter Bowls that we used to have when I was in my sophomore year.
There's not really a specific moment, but sometimes Coach Wag will get fired up, and it's pretty funny.
One year the seniors did a prank on the field, and it was pretty funny.
Just basically all the experiences in the locker room.
Like back in 8th grade, I remember we played Callaway, and I had got the ball, almost scored, but I got the ball though. So
What stands out to you about the 2023 senior class compared to other senior classes?
We all work together. We don't argue. We're just having fun.
What stands out to me is that like all of us like are like real like brothers. Like we fight, then we get like right along, like back cool, and we all hang out a lot like every day.
We're funny and we're pretty good at football. So
I think we got a good chemistry, and we're all set on the same goal. So we work together really well, and we're like brothers out there. So it's fun being out there with my teammates.
Yeah, we're all family and we work hard.
You know, we're more connected and, you know, we hang out with each other all the time. And it's just like, you know, we're like together. So, you know, it's going to help us when we get further down the road and, you know, go to the state championship.
We're going to win the state, and I feel like we got a better chemistry and brotherhood than any other senior class.
The way we've played together from 7th grade up until now, we just became like a family.
That everybody cool with each other, everybody get along. Ain't too much disliking with each other.
We're just very determined and have great team chemistry.
What would it mean to you to win your senior championship?
It meant everything to me, considering we had the opportunity when I was a sophomore and we just didn't finish, so hopefully we can do it this year.
It would mean everything to me. We've been working for it for how long, so it would mean everything.
It would mean a lot, and it would be the perfect ending.
I won state my freshman year at Auburn High School, and I know the feeling, so if I win my senior year, it'd be great.
It'd be special, you know, it's been something we've been working on all 3 years and even before that. So it'd definitely be real special to come away with a state championship senior year.
Yeah, I mean everything. The first state championship in Auburn High School history.
that would be cool because we lost our 10th grade year, so that would be good to win our senior year.
It meant a whole lot because we really like been working since we lost the state championship. So it means like so much to us as a team.
It would mean the world. I mean, we've been trying to win state since my sophomore year, and I'm a senior, so.
All right. Describe the 2023 senior class in one word and why.
Lit, because we just always, we're them.
Fearless.
Fantastic.
I'd say family, brotherhood.
Family.
Dogs. And I just say, you know, we go out there and fight every night. It doesn't matter who it is, we're just going to go out there and fight.
Passionate. We're very passionate about what we do.
A brotherhood.
Special.
Why?
Cause they different. It's all.
I'd say we're determined. We're all just on the same page and trying to win a state championship.
Welcome back to AHS Countdown, and please help me in welcoming this week's special guest picker. And as we all saw 2 weeks ago, Jared Dillard set the standard as the first ever guest picker on AHS Countdown, going 8-2 on the picks. And this week's guest picker hopes to possibly beat that. He is the current graphic design teacher here at Auburn High School, and he is known for his astounding sense of humor. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Mr. Cox.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
Now, Mr. Cox, what I said in the intro is true. I've heard from plenty of students, faculty, as well as just people I've passed by on the street say that you're a really particularly funny guy. Tell me, what do you think the secret is to being funny?
First, what people are you passing on the street that say does that? You know,
I mean,
it's that random, obscure thing to just say to a stranger on the street.
You'd say hi, they say, Mr. Cox is a funny guy.
It's a
you know?
bizarre thing.
Yeah.
Don't say that to me. That's not what you don't say to me. So, what was your? I don't remember.
What do you think the secret is to being funny?
Oh, the practice. You just keep practicing.
Okay, so like experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, practice is where you say to young people. Experience is where you say to old people. So I appreciate you twisted what I said. So.
Yeah. So experience slash like just practice. So okay, just doing it all the time.
Being around teenagers all day, every day helps.
Okay. Nice. All right, and with that, we move into our last segment, which is the Friday night lineup, where we will all pick who we think is going to win the biggest games across the state. And the current standings are: number one is Fabiola with 27-5 being her record. She went 8-2 last week. I'm following behind with a 22-10 record. I was 6-4 last week, wasn't great. And then tied for third, you guessed it, was Cal and Taylor, who, like I said earlier in AHS countdown earlier, I said he was not able to make it today, but they once again are tied for third with 18-14, and they both went 5-5 last week. And also something today is there are not, besides Region 2, there are not any conferences or regions, playing regional games. They're all playing 6A teams. So we got a couple matchups here, which are going to be 7A versus 6A for this last week of high school football. So we'll go ahead and get started with our first matchup, which is a 7A versus 6A matchup between Fairhope, who is currently 7-2 and finished third in Region 1, and they're going away against Briarwood, who is currently 3-6 on the season in 6A play. Who do y'all got between Fairhope and Briarwood?
I'm going to say definitely, even though they are fighting an away game, definitely Fairhope.
I think, Fairhope has a great record. They do, but they play Fairhope's schedule, and I think that they play a bunch of cupcakes, to be honest with you. And Briarwood does not have a great record, but they play those big Birmingham schools. I think at Briarwood takes them down.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to go with Briarwood as well. Good point.
I'm going to have to disagree with Fab there. I'm going to say that Fairhope goes in and wins this game. Yes, they have played a pretty easy schedule being in Region 1, but being the team that Auburn is most likely going to play in the playoffs, because Auburn's most likely going to finish in the number 2 seed unless Prattville pulls off a stunner against Central, I think that Fairhope will be gearing up for that matchup against Auburn next week, and I think they'll win this game against Briarwood. And now we move to another 7A versus 6A matchup, which is between Jackson Allen, who finished 4-5 in 6A play, and they're going away against Foley, who's currently 6-3 and finished with the first seed in Region 1. Who do y'all got between Jackson Allen and Foley?
Honestly, it might be able to go either way, but I think Foley, but I do think it would be at least fairly close.
I got asked last night about coming to do a comedy show in Foley, and for that reason, I will pick Foley. So.
I think it's going to be a good game, but I'm going to go with Foley.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Foley as well. I think Foley wins this game. They have really, their record is 6-3, but they've won their last 5 games ever since upsetting Fairhope back when Fairhope was undefeated. So I think Foley continues that hot streak, and they beat Jackson Allen at home before hosting their first round and possibly second round matchups in the playoffs. And now we move to another 7A versus 6A matchup. This time it's between Sparkman, who is currently 5-4 and finished 6th in Region 4, which means unfortunately they're eliminated from the playoffs. And they're going away against Muscle Shoals, who is a 6A powerhouse. They are currently 7-1, and they are gearing up for the playoffs in 6A. Who do y'all got between Sparkman and Muscle Shoals? Muscle Shoals.
Well, given that I didn't even hear about Sparks until last week, and I'm just learning about this new team, Muscle Shoals. Definitely Sparks, and even though I think they're going to want to end their season strong, even if they are eliminated.
So, this is a tough one. So, Sparkman, if you guys didn't know, they are us a few years ago, where they've split into 2. Bob Jones, Sparkman, became 2 giant schools from 1 giant school, and Muscle Shoals, they, like you guys, have one of the best video sports programs in the state. Are you familiar with them?
Yes.
So, anyway, there's something special about Muscle Shoals. I cannot pick against them. Muscle Shoals.
Looking at the record, I'm gonna have to go with Muscle Shoals.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Fab there and Mr. Cox. I'm gonna say Muscle Shoals wins this one. Sparkman, like you said, that was our first time covering them this season last week, and they ended up losing by a lot. I don't know the exact number, but they lost by a lot in a crucial matchup against, it wasn't Austin, it was Florence. They lost against Florence, and that got them eliminated from the playoffs. So yes, they're coming off a tough loss, but I do think Muscle Shoals for a 6A team is very good, and I think they'll win at home. And now we move into another 6A versus 7A matchup, and it is between Vestavia Hills, who clinched the playoffs last week with a win against Tuscaloosa County at home, and they are currently 5-4, and they finished 4th in Region 3. And they're going away against Helena, who's currently 6-3 in 6A play. Who do y'all got between Vestavia and Helena?
I think I got to go with Vestavia for this one. I think they got that dog in them. I think they got this.
Got that dog in them.
I agree. Those Birmingham schools, I almost think of them as a mini SEC. They have to play or beat each other, and so I'm assuming they have a loss to Hoover, assuming they have a loss to Thompson. 5-4 doesn't say that much, right? So I'm going to say Vestavia Hills.
I'm gonna have to go with I'm gonna have to go with Vestavia Hills because I know more about them. So.
Yeah, Mr. Cox was right. They lost to Hoover and Thompson, and they were both very close matchups. So, that being said, I'm going to go with Vestavia Hills. I think they're a better team than their record shows, and I think they'll prove it on the road against Helena. I actually don't think it'll be close. I got Vestavia by at least 10 points on the road against Helena. And now we move into our second to last 7A versus 6A matchup, and it is between Bob Jones, who's currently 5-4 and finished 4th in Region 4, and they're going away against Hartselle, a powerhouse in 6A, just like Muscle Shoals. They're currently 9-0 and undefeated in 6A play. Who do y'all got between Bob Jones and Hartselle?
So I'm going to go with Hartselle, but I know that Bob Jones is a very impressive team, I would say. But I think even if you could argue that Hartselle hasn't gone in against like super tough opponents or anything, 9-0 is still incredibly impressive, so I think they have this.
That is impressive. Because they're 9-0 in 6A, I mean, they have that it factor apparently. I'm not saying they're unbeatable, but I don't think Bob Jones is the team to beat them. So.
I'm going to agree with Cal and Mr. Cox. I think they're going to get this one.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very, very fun game to watch. Bob Jones, obviously, 5-4 in 7A. They haven't had the easiest season this year, but they are still, like Cal said, they are still a very competent team. They're not an easy team to beat with their good offense. But going on the road against an undefeated team is very tough to win that game. And so I'm going to also go with Hartselle at home. I think they'll beat Bob Jones in a very, very close one. And now we move into our last 7A versus 6A matchup, and it is between Mountain Brook, who's usually a powerhouse in 6A. They lost last week, but they are still 7-2 in 6A play, and they're going away against Baker, who upset Fairhope last week to become the number 2 seed in Region 1 going into the playoffs. But they are 4-5 on the season, so you wouldn't expect they're going into the playoffs as a number 2 seed. But that being said, who do y'all got between Mountain Brook and the Hornets?
Baker definitely seems very competent, and I think it's definitely going to give Mountain Brook a challenge, and it's going to be a very, very fun game to watch, but I still got to go with Mountain Brook for this one.
Who do we know who beat Mountain Brook? Again, Birmingham's schedule, I'm assuming it's tough.
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. But I know it was a good team. No, they lost to Gardendale. They lost to Gardendale, who is ranked.
I would say Mountain Brook whoops them. I just think they play all those Birmingham schools and have tested middle. So.
Okay.
I do too. From the score as well, I think it's going to be a good game, but I'm going to go Mountain Brook.
Yeah, I think Baker, they are, unlike Vestavia Hills, yes, they beat Fairhope, but then again, it's Region 1. Region 1 is really like the slums of the 7A football scene. And so I think Mountain Brook will win on the road against Baker. And also Baker, coming off of a hard-fought upset against Fairhope on the road, I think they're kind of worn down, and they're like, okay, we're going to be number 2 seed, which, by the way, I might have not said this yet, but every team, every region in 7A has already clinched all their seeds. That's why Region 2 is the only one that has head-to-head matchups between Region 2 teams, because they haven't decided their seeding yet going into the playoffs. So I think Baker really gets caught off guard against Mountain Brook, and I think Mountain Brook whoops them, as Mr. Cox said. And now we move into a Region 2 matchup, our first Region 2 matchup between Dothan, who is currently 6-3 and 4-3 in Region 2 play, and they're currently 4th in the region. They're going away against Jeff Davis, who's currently 3-6, 2-5 in Region 2 play. They're eliminated from the playoffs, and they're 7th in the region. Who do y'all got between Dothan and Jeff Davis?
I think for Jeff Davis, I think their morale has to be definitely low at this point, and I think Dothan is going to do everything they can to just kind of whoop them and end on a good spot and secure a very good playoff spot.
Yeah, I just don't think Jeff Davis has it in him to win a lot of football games this year. So, Dothan.
No, yeah, I agree. I'm sorry, but Dothan.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say, I'm going to definitely have to say Dothan on this one. If Dothan wins this, they're clinched in the playoffs. Depending on where they're going to be finished, 3rd or 4th, depends on how Enterprise game goes, which is the next one we're going to talk about. But I do think Dothan wins this one on the road against the Jeff Davis team, who has scrapped their way to 2 straight wins against Lee, Montgomery, and Smith Station, of all teams. But I do think that Dothan will go on the road and show why they deserve to be in the playoffs. And next we move into another Region 2 matchup with Team Enterprise, who is currently 6-3 and 4-3 in Region 2 play. And they're currently third in Region 2 standings, and they're going away against Lee Montgomery, who got their first win of the season last week against Smith Station. They're still 1-8 on the season and 1-6 in Region 2 play. They're also unsurprisingly eliminated from the playoffs. Who do you got between Enterprise at Lee?
So Lee Montgomery winning, that means, I lost my prediction last week. So, I mean, they did, I guess, catch us off guard with that win, and I am very impressed by that. But I think Enterprise is going to have like a field day, and it's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, Enterprise, like the Birmingham schools, our region is a difficult one. They have Auburn High to contend with, Central, and Prattville, and they're still doing overall pretty well. Opelika, we have a tough region, so yeah. Enterprise, I think we'll smack them down, to be honest with you.
Is it at Lee?
It is at Lee, yes.
I'm going to have to go with Enterprise.
Okay. So I'm going to go with Enterprise by a lot. Like Mr. Cox said, I think they're going to smack them upside the head. It's going to be not a fun one to watch if you're a Lee Generals fan. But, yeah, I think Enterprise secures that number 3 playoff spot and gets ready for the playoffs because they are sure to have a tough time as they are in that part of the bracket, the lower part. And next we move into another Region 2 matchup. This one probably bigger than the game that we're covering tonight. Probably one of the biggest in the state. It's between Prattville, who just came off that loss against Auburn. They're currently 6-3 and 4-3 on the season in Region 2 play, and they're currently 5th in Region 2. And they're going away against Central, who had a bye week last week, so they're all rested up. They're 7-2 on the season, 6-1 in Region 2 play. They have clinched the playoff spot. Haven't clinched the number 1 spot yet, but they are currently, as it stands, number 1 in Region 2. Who do y'all got between the Lions and the Red Devils?
As much as I'd love to go for the underdog, just, fight for the chance to see Central lose, Central was the only team that was able to beat Auburn, and I think for the sake of my record and my points, I think I have to go Central for this one.
If this game were at Prattville, I would just go out on a limb and pick Prattville. I think they're a very solid football team, especially since the change earlier in the year with their starters and things like that. But yeah, Central at Central, I just can't see it happening.
I mean, just considering what we saw against Auburn, I don't want to say Central, but I do think Central's going to take it.
Yeah, as I've said throughout this broadcast, I think that for Auburn to get number 1 in Region 2, they need to win tonight against Smith Station, which shouldn't be hard to do. But they also need Prattville to win on the road against Central. And while I really do want Auburn to finish with that number 1 spot, I don't think it's going to happen. I think Central wins this one at home against Prattville, claims that number 1 spot in Region 2, and gets ready for their title run. And now we move into your game of the night, which is between Smith Station, who's currently 1-8, and 1-6 in Region 2 play this season, and are currently dead last in 7A after their loss against Lee Montgomery last week. They're going away against your Auburn Tigers, who are currently 8-1, 6-1 in the region, and they have clinched the playoffs, and they're hoping to clinch the number 1 spot in Region 2 tonight. They are currently number 2, though, in the Region 2. So, who do y'all got between the Panthers and the Tigers?
Really tough choice. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a very, very close, well-fought.
I think you're being sarcastic.
I think Auburn's going to win is what's going to happen.
It's not going to be close at all. Auburn.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Auburn by 1,000. I think that Smith Station, a win tonight would be a huge morale booster for their squad, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're looking to next season, and I think they're ready to get this season over with. And I think the Tigers are hoping and praying that Prattville can beat Central on the road so they can clinch that number 1 spot. But I think Auburn is ready for the playoffs, and they're gearing up, and they're going to wipe Smith Station out of their way and get to those playoffs. So I got Auburn by 1,000.
Yeah, we're going to kill them. We'll beat them so bad.
It's not even a pick. It's Auburn by 1,000. Auburn's going to win this game. And that's going to do it for AHS Countdown today. I hope y'all enjoyed. Be sure to not go anywhere because coming up right after us is the senior night presentations as well as the band's pregame show. But that'll do it from all of us at AHS Countdown, including a special thanks to our special guest picker, Mr. Cox. We hope to see y'all next week when Auburn plays whoever they play in the playoff round 1. But that'll do it. See y'all next time.